Hey there folks, Wrel here. Today we're going to be reviewing the NCM3 Raven, an anti-vehicle weapon for the new Conglomerate MAX unit, and to let you all know, this review is being done post-nerf, which took place back in February. If you didn't know that the Ravens were nerfed, or you just can't feel it on the live server, nobody's going to blame you because they're still just as ridiculous as they've always been. That said, we'll be breaking down the statistics, comparing them a little bit to your default Falcons, and be sharing some strategies and situations that'll help you get the most out of these little death machines. Each Raven arm is going to run you 1000 certs or 700 station cash to unlock, and yes, you do want to pair these things up, as max units in general don't hit their potential with single arm weapons. It's not even a 1 + 1 = 2 sort of thing, it's that dual arms of the same type, at least when it comes to AV weapons, is more of a 1 + 1 = 3 or = 4 sort of thing, because the synergy is important. Now normally we'd talk about the damage right at the start, but for this we're going to talk about it much later on, because first we need to go over the mechanics that make it so powerful. Ravens are laser guided, meaning where you point, they will track to. They are pinpoint accurate and basically have no convergence range because they'll converge almost instantly if your crosshair is on a target, no matter how close to you they are. The further you lead the projectiles, the harder that they're going to turn to hit their mark. You can literally fire behind you and have them do a 180 and thump you in the back of the head. It's that good. This goes for swinging shots around corners too. Really easy to hit things that you can't see or that can't see you. Each projectile moves at 70 meters per second with no bullet drop, and after about 5 seconds of travel time, they'll disappear. This gives them an effective range of roughly 350 meters, which is more than enough to deal with most situations you'll put yourself in. What's really funny and or sad is that infantry don't render past 300 or 400 meters as a baseline, and max units count as infantry. This is fine in itself, but during times of heavy fighting in very populated hexes, that render range can choke up a great deal, meaning that a lot of times you'll be able to kill enemy vehicles without them actually being able to fight back. This is a huge problem that's been around for ages, hasn't been fixed, and I believe that's due to performance impacts. Each Raven deals 335 infantry damage per rocket on a direct hit, and they have a splash of 75 damage that tapers out over 3 meters. These are the numbers that the game tells you, and all of the in-game numbers are infantry damage. But given that each vehicle has more or less resistances, I've put together a chart that shows how many volleys it'll take to kill each target. So not per rocket, but per 2 rockets, because that's how you'll be using them most of the time anyway. I've linked this chart in the video description below if you're interested in taking a longer look at it. Your Ravens have a 5-round magazine with 65 in reserve, and they reload in 1.5 seconds flat, regardless of whether or not it's a short or long reload. Also, they fire at 48 rounds per minute, or about 0.8 rounds per second. When it comes to comparing Ravens to Falcons in terms of damage, the Falcons have a lot more damage. It's 585 direct and 90 splash for a net total of 675 versus the Ravens' net total of 410. However, the numbers make Falcons look a lot better than they actually perform due to the weapon's rate of fire. Now, I want to preface this by saying that Falcons are heavy burst damage, and that's good for plenty of situations, but since Falcons have a 1.9 second reload after every single shot versus the Raven's 5-round mag and a 1.5 second reload, the difference in flat time to kill is not as much as you'd probably expect. Against a Mag Rider's front armor from close range, it's around 13.5 seconds time to kill for Falcons versus 15.5 seconds for Ravens, so about a 2-second difference in time to kill. Now, if you stack on the flat versatility that Ravens offer you, the huge ammo reserve, the forgiveness of a larger magazine, the ability to snipe infantry from 200 meters, and the less obnoxious particle effects that won't obscure your vision, Ravens stand out as being better in many situations. Where you'd want to take your Falcons over your Ravens is basically whenever you need burst damage, and usually at closer ranges. If you can't peek your head out of cover for too long without it getting blown off, then you go for Falcons. If you don't expect to get a kill on a target from start to finish and you just want to drop as much damage on it before they scurry off, that'd be Falcons. If you're good at landing direct hits and you want to scrap with infantry or max units at closer ranges without having to switch over to shotguns, that would be Falcons too. But anytime you're in an open field fight, or if you have a range advantage, or if you need sustained damage, or if you don't have engineers on hand to just shower you in ammo, or even if you can't aim that well, then Ravens are your best option. This goes doubly so for squad play. If you're in a battle bus or a galaxy with a few other max units, Falcons can drop right on top of an enemy sunderer or a vehicle convoy and just rip it to shreds, whereas your Ravens might be better off deploying on a cliffside and wrecking targets from range. When it comes to using your Ravens effectively, here are some things you can think about. I personally like to couple Ravens with Aegis Shield, Nanite Auto Repair, and Enhanced Targeting, because when I pull Ravens I usually do it with a range advantage or in an open field fight. These are the types of situations where being able to charge quickly over a short distance is not as good as just being able to soak small arms or a direct hit from an AP round or a secondary vehicle weapon. On top of that, you get to see how low enemy vehicle health is and pick them off. Also on the topic of using your Aegis or your Aegis, however you want to pronounce it, is that you can use it after firing or during a reload and you'll still be able to guide your rockets that are mid-flight. And you'll still be able to finish your reload too. Not quite as important for the reload bit though, since it's so short for Ravens, but it's good to know that you can pull your shield out whenever and finish what you started. You should always fire your Ravens in pairs. Not only is it easier to guide Ravens in pairs because you have a larger gap where you can land shots, then readjust your aim before the next pair lands, but you're also doubling up on your damage, and having a larger burst is good because you won't be tipping off a target with a smaller chunk of damage in advance. We talked a little bit about this toward the beginning, but remember that your rockets turn harder the more ground that they have to make up. So when a target is moving quickly or when a target is further out, you're going to want to lead it more. Knowing how to lead targets well is something you'll pick up through practice, and when you've got it down, it's surprisingly easy to lay on damage on airborne targets as well. Speaking of curving rockets, try not to stay exposed to enemy fire if you can help it. Now it sounds like a no-brainer, but since you can swing rockets around corners, you'll find a lot of situations where you can stay out of the enemy's line of sight and still be able to beat on them at the same time. When it comes to dealing with enemy infantry, 4 direct hits or 2 volleys is the quickest way to drop your targets, but Ravens also have a fair amount of splash damage as well. So if you don't think that you're going to hit your target directly, either because they're moving too quickly or because they're too close to you, then aim at their feet. This way, you'll either hit them in the feet, which will inflict a lot of damage from the direct hit, or you'll hit the ground near them and inflict the majority of splash damage that your Ravens are capable of. Now the last thing that I'd like to do here is make a suggestion for fixing Ravens. And by fixing, I do mean dialing them back a bit, because they are just extremely powerful right now, more so than any other anti-vehicle max weapon in the game. And while usually there are better ways to deal with power discrepancies than handing out nerfs, I really wouldn't want to see other AV weapons lifted up to the Ravens level, because these things are extremely frustrating to fight against, and they're completely out of whack with the way that vehicle to max interactions should work in the first place. So the first suggestion would be to fix render range in larger fights. This probably won't happen, so I don't really count it as a legitimate suggestion. The second suggestion that gets thrown around by the community a lot is to have the rockets go dumbfire after a certain distance. And while this is a decent fix for their capabilities at long range, Ravens offer a lot more advantages than just the ability to fight beyond render, so I don't really think that it balances out the weapon too much. What I would suggest though is to increase the reload speed to somewhere in the realm of around 2.5 seconds or more. Longer gaps between firing means that the enemy has more time to find cover, and since finding cover is hard to do when you don't actually know where the shots are coming from, or when you do know where the shots are coming from but you can't fight back because the target is invisible, this will create a worthwhile shift. It'll also lower their sustained damage output to the point where you'll rely a bit more on friendlies for securing kills against vehicles that are actively being repaired, just like every other faction's sniper AV currently works. You'll still be able to pick off smoking targets just as readily as before, you'll still be able to snipe infantry from 200 meters, and you'll still be able to squash enemy sunderers that engineers don't respond to quickly enough. And lastly, it'll also make Falcons a more worthwhile option for heavy damage at medium ranges, where they tend to fall behind due to the lack of guidance and low ammo capacity. If this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and if you have any experience with Ravens and Falcons, or you just want to weigh in on what it's like to deal with them from the other side of the fence, go ahead, leave those thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks very much folks, Wrel signing off.
Hey, medic, come here, get this Max.
It's just ripped by your body.
Medic, right behind you, Max. There you go, buddy.